Gendry ain't rowing no more, ya guys, and welcome to my review of Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 5. Woo, ya guys, this week's episode, oh my fucking god. There was so much shit that went down this week. It's not even funny. It's ridiculous the amount of things that were going on in this episode. Just characters constantly moving and moving and moving. And yeah, big plot points and arcs being set up for these characters, and I think we have a fairly good idea what to expect for these final two episodes, and I am so freaking excited, you guys. Seriously, the episode ended last night and I was just kind of staring at my screen just like, what, it's over? No, I need more now. And yeah, this episode was a weird one also, because normally when I do my reviews for Game of Thrones, I typically divide everything up. You know what I mean? Like I'll start with like Winterfell, and then I'll talk about Dragonstone, and then I'll talk about King's Landing. Like I group all of the various different plot points together. And yeah, this week it's just such a weird episode because it's an episode that you kind of have to talk about in chronological order, because certain events happen in this episode, things that kind of lead to you know, things leading from one thing to another. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting episode to review this week, especially for me, you know, typically how I review the show. And yeah, my list of notes here, you guys, I got a full page of notes here, and then yeah, a tiny bit back here on the back. So yeah, so much to talk about, so little time. I don't want to leave you all here for too long just listening to me go on and on. So yeah, where to start? Let's talk about what happened after last week's episode, the aftermath of Dany and Drogon killing some Lannisters, and yeah, we're left with that cliffhanger. You guys, that amazing cliffhanger. Jaime just floating to the bottom of that lake. He's been tackled by Bronn. And yeah, is he gonna live? Is he gonna die? And obviously, we the fandom, it was totally obvious. Jaime was not gonna die that way. You know, Jaime was not gonna go out in that fashion. So yeah, sure enough, this week's episode, it opens and we see Bronn and Jaime, they resurface from the lake. It looks like they're maybe a good mile or so away from the action. Yeah, I don't know. Surely they didn't hold their breath that entire time going down the river. I'm sure they probably resurfaced a few times and then just kind of swam underneath for safety and security purposes. But yeah, thank goodness Jaime's alive. Bronn is the one who tackled him. And you know what? Bronn cracks me up because he did this with Tyrion as well, when him and Tyrion were a pair. Because Bronn was like, you know, I only tackled you into that lake because you're my security, essentially. You're the guy who's paying me my money, and I lost my money. And yeah, he used to do that all the time with Tyrion. Like, the only reason he was with Tyrion was for money. But, you know, Bronn says that. You know, Bronn says that, but I think he secretly likes the Lannisters. You know, he secretly liked Tyrion. He secretly likes Jaime. It's more than just the money for him. He can go on all he likes that it's only about the money, but he likes the Lannisters, maybe minus Cersei. But yeah, he has formed a bond and attachment to Tyrion, especially Jaime, these last couple seasons. So Jaime realizes, okay, the things are not going according to plan. We have underestimated Daenerys Targaryen. Look what she just did to our entire army, and that was just one dragon. What is she capable of doing with 3 dragons? So yeah, Jaime is truly 100% terrified, and he realizes it's pretty dire right now, and they need to get to Cersei as soon as possible. So yeah, Tyrion, in the meantime, we see Tyrion, just this beautiful shot of Tyrion going through the aftermath and seeing the destruction and the scorching of the earth and the scorching of the Lannister army. And I think Tyrion, you know, there was that suggestion last week's episode. Does Tyrion still care about his family? Does he still care about the Lannister army? And I think it's clear that he does still care. There's a part of him that I think is feeling pretty guilty right now and a little upset that, yeah, all of these men just died, and they died quite brutally, really, when you think about it. Death by fire is not a pleasant way to go. And Randall and Dickon Tarley, yeah guys, I'm a little distraught, not gonna lie. Well, not so much for Randall, because Randall was a jackass anyway, you know, especially from what we know how he treated Sam. But yeah, Dickon, you guys, oh, I'm so sad to see Dickon go. I was really thinking that Dickon might make it through this entire season, because last week's episode ended and I was thinking to myself, okay, Randall is probably going to die this week, because I was like, he's going to refuse to bend the knee to Dany, which sure enough he does. But Dickon, he was kind of 50-50 for me, because I was like, he's either going to bend the knee or he's not, you know, he's not going to be a coward. So yeah, we get to Daenerys and Drogon, and you guys, this was such an amazing, beautiful shot, because there's Dany and there's this rock behind her, and there's Drogon just chilling, propped up on this rock. It was so awesome and so badass, so well done. And yeah, here comes the Lannister army, just looking utterly defeated, just kind of dragging along. And you know, they almost made me think of the White Walkers and the Whites. You know how the White Walkers and the Whites, they always kind of have their heads down a little bit and they drag themselves kind of zombie-ish. And the Lannister army was making me think of that, you know. We have the army of the dead, and then we have this army of the living, but they're almost practically dead too because of this huge defeat that they've just had. But yeah, here comes the army, utterly defeated, utterly terrified, and Daenerys is trying to reassure these guys, you know, this is not what I want. I don't want to just ruthlessly kill and murder people. I want to do things as peacefully as possible, but I gotta be brutal at the same time. And yeah, she's trying to tell these guys, you know, if you bend the knee right now, I will be lenient with you. You can be in my army now. Don't serve Cersei. She's the evil one. I'm here to liberate you guys. So yeah, she tells these guys to bend the knee, and yeah, amazing enough, pretty much a good chunk of the army, they immediately bend the knee. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They just kind of quickly do it. But then yeah, you have Dickon and Randall Tarley, you guys, kind of staring around like, what the fuck, yeah guys, we have to be a united front here. So yeah, Randall Tarley, I wasn't surprised by this at all, because he's a very prideful man. He's a military man, and even though he didn't agree with destroying the Tyrells, and even though he's not really a big fan of Cersei Lannister, the thing is, this is still his queen. You know, Cersei is still his queen. He's going to remain loyal, and he's not willing to bend the knee to Daenerys Targaryen, unfortunately. So he's about to get burned, and Dickon's like, you know what, if you're going to kill my father, you're going to have to kill me too. And I was like, no, Dickon, no. Like I said, I was really hoping Dickon would make it for the remainder of the season. I was kind of hoping something would happen and he wouldn't get killed. But yeah, Dickon, he decides to stand by his father. He's not a coward, which is kind of surprising. And then the next thing that happens, you know, Tyrion's like, you know, he's trying to plead for the lives of these guys, you know, trying to say, you know, send them to the wall. We need more men at the wall and this and that. But Daenerys is not having any of it. And she's like, you know, this is what happens to traitors, and they're going to be an example. So there goes Dracarys, you guys. Dracarys has said Drogon kills Dickon and Randall Tarley, you guys. Just like that, just instantaneous goodbye, the Tarley family. We just got Sam left, you guys. Oh. And there's such a nice parallel here, because if you know your Game of Thrones history, you know that when the Mad King was alive, the Mad King killed the Starks. He killed Ned's brother and father through fire. So there's almost this nice parallel here of Daenerys almost being like her father and killing this father and son, very much like her father did to the Starks, the father-son duo there. So yeah, I mean, there is that question: is Daenerys going mad? Is she going to turn out like her father? And I think that's going to be a constant question we have here. And yeah, I don't think she's not like the Mad Queen right now. You know, I don't think she's necessarily the Mad Queen right now, but she could easily reach that point. You know, just a very fine slip, and she could be the Mad Queen. It just depends on where her actions take her next, I think. So let's move to King's Landing. We have a really quick scene here between Jaime and Cersei, and Jaime, he's just recapping everything that went down. And Cersei doesn't seem to be concerned at all. And you know, that's the thing though, Jaime just had an eyewitness view of what just happened. And Cersei, I think she still underestimates Daenerys. And yeah, the loss of her army, it doesn't really seem to bother her. She doesn't really care, because she's sitting there saying, you know what, we got the Tyrell gold, we got the Iron Bank, we can just buy mercenaries. You need to chill, brother. And yeah, just Cersei just so frustrated. You know, she just doesn't understand a thing. Jaime's frustrated, and Jaime's even telling her, you know, this is a war we cannot win. We need to go ahead and back off right now before it's too late. And I think Jaime, he has some common sense there. You know, Jaime understands, you know, the logic here of what needs to happen, or else there's going to be full-on chaos and destruction in King's Landing. And then Jaime also drops another bombshell on Cersei, because he is able to get out that Olenna was the one who killed Joffrey. And such another good scene here as well. And yeah, I had my concerns, because I was wondering, would Jaime tell Cersei about Olenna killing Joffrey? And he does tell her, and she kind of doesn't really believe Jaime, weirdly enough, because she just thinks it's another trick from Olenna. So we'll come back to Jaime and Cersei in a little bit with another big shocking reveal that we get, you guys. Oh my god. So let's move on to Dragonstone, and you guys, Drogon, he totally confirms that Jon is a secret Targaryen. We already got those flashbacks from Bran last season that pretty much confirmed it already. But yeah, Drogon definitely confirms it this week, because Jon, he doesn't back away from Drogon. When Dany and Drogon land right there in front of him on the cliff, Jon, he doesn't back away. He doesn't look particularly frightened or scared. He kind of stands his ground, and he reaches out to touch Drogon, and yeah, Drogon, he calms down, and he gives Jon a little sniff, and it was all sorts of cute and sweet and awesome at the same time. And Daenerys, I love Daenerys' look, because Daenerys kind of looks like, what the fuck is going on here? Why is my dragon being so nice to you? So Dany returns fairly quickly. It's like she goes and deals with the army, and she's back in Dragonstone. It all happens so quickly right here. But yeah, we gotta keep the plot moving. And yeah, Jon is questioning what she just did, and Dany's like, you know what, I have fewer enemies than I had yesterday, so it's all good for me. And we get another fascinating moment here, because Daenerys, she hasn't forgotten what Davos said about Jon sacrificing his life, you know, and getting stabbed in the chest. She hasn't forgotten about that. So she does bring it up. Jon is kind of brushing it off, and there seems to be a moment that he might be about to tell her what happened. He is considering it, but then here comes Jorah to interrupt the moment. And yay, you guys, Dany and Jorah, they're reunited, and the shipper in me was so thrilled and so happy. This is so conflicting, you guys, because there's a part of me that I have a perverted desire to see Jon and Daenerys together, as horrible as that is, but then I still want Daenerys and Jorah to get together, but it's never gonna happen, right? It's never gonna happen between Dany and Jorah, but one can always hope. And I like that look that kind of passed between Jon and Jorah, because Jorah, you can almost imagine what's going on in Jorah's head. Him thinking, oh Jesus, here's another young, pretty boy. He's just another Daario Naharis. It's like I felt so bad for Jorah. Jorah just has this absolute love for Daenerys that's never really going to be reciprocated. Never, you guys, never. But yeah, I love that whole sequence with Jorah and Dany getting reunited, and yeah, she's like, you found the cure, and he's like, yes. So meanwhile, we see Tyrion and Varys, they're getting drunk. You know, it's funny because we don't see Varys drinking that often, but yeah, it's like, I think Varys is now at his wit's end. He's not quite sure what's going on, how to handle the situation. And yeah, they're just sitting there drinking together, they're contemplating Daenerys' actions. And Varys, just some interesting dialogue here from Varys, you know, because he brings up the Mad King. He brings up how the Mad King used to kill people, and Varys is saying, how does he word it? He's kind of wording it, I'm not the one doing it. That's kind of how he always talked to himself every time, after every time the Mad King would kill somebody. I'm not the one doing it. I'm not the one doing it. That's how he got by day after day after day. That was his means of self-preservation. And it's almost as if Varys is trying to reassure himself. You know, he's trying to reassure himself, you know, Daenerys is not her father, but with the right counsel, maybe, you know, we can steer her away from that path. And Varys is even saying to Tyrion, we need her to listen. You need to make her listen. And it's also in this scene that they have a letter from Bran Stark talking about the White Walkers coming. But yeah, we'll come back to Dragonstone in a minute. So let's talk about Bran's vision up in Winterfell. Yeah, guys, we've not seen the White Walkers all season. We just saw them very quickly at the beginning of episode 1 this season. So yeah, there's Bran in the Godswood. He's warging through the Ravens, trying to find the Night's King. He finds him eventually. Yeah, the army is so freaking huge. Yeah, guys, Jesus Christ. And the thing is, just such an interesting moment here, because the Night's King, you know, because of him touching Bran, him and Bran are on this wavelength with one another. So the Night's King, he just immediately knows, hey, that little boy, he's watching us right now. And, you know, I don't understand, does the Night King kind of have the power to get Bran out of the warg? Because it almost seems as if when the Night King, he looks at that raven, it's almost like he forces Bran out. You know what I mean? That's what it seemed like. Because it didn't seem like Bran took himself out. It seemed like the Night King forced him out. So I'm definitely curious what's going on with the White Walkers, where they're marching to, where they're going to be by the end of this season. I'm also kind of terrified for poor Bran, because there's got to be something between Bran and the Night King. You know, that connection is there. Yeah, that connection could be what fucks everything up, unfortunately. You know, it could be the reason why the wall might possibly come down. Who knows? Because of Bran warging and seeing what's happening, yeah, this leads to a series of events where we see Bran's message get to multiple different groups of people in this episode. And one of the first groups of people that we see get Bran's message is at the Citadel. And we see the Maesters discussing the letter, and Sam comes in, he overhears the conversation, and Sam knows, you know, he knows about the White Walkers, he knows the threat that is coming, but yeah, the Maesters, they don't want to listen, they don't want to believe. And yeah, the Maesters, oh my god, they're just so frustrated in this episode, because the Maesters, they think, oh, it's a crippled boy, can we trust him? And then they also, in the back of their head, think that, oh, maybe this is just a battle tactic from the Dragon Queen, that she's got into this boy, or it might not even be from this boy, it could be from somebody else for all we know, but it's a tactic to distract us from the south, so we're more focused on the north while she takes the south. So, yeah, even though it's so stupid and frustrating, it's like you understand where the Maesters are coming from. I mean, that's a logical thing to think about, you know? They don't know Daenerys, so this could be a tactic from her for all they know. So, poor Sam, he leaves the room, nobody believes him, but they're telling him, oh, we'll consider it. They're not going to consider it. And then, yeah, poor Sam leaves the room, you guys, and the Archmaester, he's sitting there saying, oh, I didn't have the heart to tell Sam that his father and brother were brutally murdered by the Dragon Queen. Poor Sam. How is Sam going to feel Exactly, about what happened to his family, because even though he doesn't have a lot of love for his brother and father, the thing is, he still has that love for his mother and sister, we know. So it's still Sam's family, you know, it's still his family, no matter how he feels about them. So, yeah, is Sam going to be upset? Is he going to be shocked? And, I mean, yeah, the big thing there, I mean, that the home, that's his home now. He is the rightful heir now. He's the only heir. So we see Bran's message again at Dragonstone this time, and like I said, I like that whole part with Varys and Tyrion, and yeah, they have the letter, and they're like, I've already read this letter, even though it was supposed to go to Jon because he's the king of the North. I like how sneaky Varys is about that letter. So yeah, we're in the council room. Everybody at Dragonstone is talking about Bran's letter, what to do. And Jon is like, you know what? I'm king of the North, Daenerys. I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to head right back up north. And yeah, Daenerys does try to stop Jon, but I like that he stood his ground. You know, like, I am not listening to you. I'm doing what I think is right. So the big thing that we have here is that we're going to go capture a White, you guys, because the South needs proof that White Walkers exist, that the army of the dead is coming, because how else are you going to prove that this army of the dead is coming? So it's kind of a logical, rational plan, but yeah, kind of dangerous, you guys, very, very dangerous at the same time, because this could go horribly wrong. And yeah, how exactly do you get a White on its own? You know what I mean? How do you get a White on its own to take back as proof when there's a whole army around? So not only is Jon going to take off for the north, but Jorah and Davos are going to go with him as well. So we'll go back to Dragonstone in a minute. Let's move on to Winterfell, you guys. We have some interesting developments in Winterfell, and it's pretty terrifying but exciting at the same time. I'm not quite sure what to expect for these final 2 episodes. And yeah, guys, Littlefinger is back. This whole season so far, we've definitely gotten the idea that Littlefinger, he's not in his element in the north, you know. Things are just constantly being played against him, and he's been having trouble playing his game. You know, he's been having trouble climbing the ladder of chaos, if you will. So it appears that Littlefinger is back, that he has figured out a way to win, if you will. So before we do talk about Littlefinger and what's going on there, the games that he's playing with Arya, for starters, we're in the main hall with Sansa and the Lords of the North, and things are not going too well. The Northerners, they've had it. They're concerned. They're frightened. I mean, valid points of view. You know, Jon just up and left them. They've not really heard from him. They don't know what's going on, and yeah, their trust and loyalty in Jon is kind of dwindling, and it's a little bit frightening. And they even say to Sansa, my lady, maybe we should have chose you to lead us. And Sansa, it's like, I think there's a part of her that's like, oh, I really appreciate that. It's about time people looked up to me. But then, yeah, she still loves Jon. You know, Jon is her brother. She's not going to sit there and say bad things about him, but she doesn't speak up for him either, which Arya notices, because we get this really intense, horrible interaction between Sansa and Arya, you guys. And Arya makes some pretty severe insinuations. There is definitely some intensity here between the sisters, some mistrust, because Arya is questioning Sansa's silence. She's sitting there saying, you know, you didn't speak up for our brother, you just let them insult him like that. And Arya even suggests, you know what, why don't we just kill these northern fools and be done with it? It's like, that's Arya's answer to everything, that she has to murder everybody. And then, yes, Sansa is even like, you know what, we have to stay together, we have to be a united front, we can't go against these northern lords. We need them. We need the north. We need the army of the veil. We need this house, this house, this house. So yeah, Sansa is trying to think through some common sense here, whereas Arya is just thinking, no, we need to get rid of these people. And then, yet the next insinuation that Arya delivers to Sansa, this was just the most brutal thing, because Arya is saying, well, if Jon doesn't come back, you need all these people to stick together because you need them to stick with you. Because, yeah, you could become a Lady of Winterfell. You know, you could be Queen of the North if something terrible happens to Jon. So, yeah, the way I was interpreting this scene, Arya was pretty much insinuating, Sansa, you're power hungry, and you're going to do anything to get absolute control of Winterfell. And that's why you're not speaking up for our brother. And Sansa, I think there is a part of Sansa, you know, she is power hungry. She does desire Winterfell. And I think it kind of maybe just occurred to her, okay, wait a minute, maybe what Arya is saying is kind of partially true. She's kind of lying to herself, if you want to look at it that way. Sansa's kind of lying to herself the things that she truly desires in some ways, and Jon's kind of in the way. And yes, Sansa's like, Arya, that's such a horrible thing to insinuate. I mean, it is a horrible thing to insinuate, but at the same time, I think it is partially true. There's a kernel of truth in what Arya says. And then the scene between Sansa and Arya ends, you guys, just so heartbreaking, because Sansa is basically saying, I have things to do, I don't want you in my presence right now, you've kind of just insulted me. And Arya departs. She has a little curtsy, a little minimal curtsy there, and she departs by saying, my lady. Whew, that was rough. You guys, that was so rough. Oh my goodness. Sansa and Arya. You guys, I cannot deal with Sansa and Arya on opposing sides right now. So let's talk about Littlefinger, you guys. We see Littlefinger for a few minutes in this episode, and he's talking to some people. We see him talking to a serving girl. We see him talking with some of the other Northerners. He talks to the Maester. He gets a letter, because remember, we found out a couple episodes ago that Maester Luwin kept all of the memos that came into Winterfell. And remember, there was a strange look that passed over Littlefinger's face when the Maester mentioned that. So yeah, we see the Maester give one of these memos to Littlefinger. And yeah, this entire time, as everything is happening, Arya is following Littlefinger. She's just kind of sticking to the shadows, watching him, listening to everything that's going on. So we reach this climax of what's going on here between Littlefinger and Arya. And Littlefinger, he gets that memo, he goes into his room, but then he comes right back out, and Arya sneaks into his bedroom. She's looking around, trying to figure out where this letter is. She finds it in his bed, and the letter, it looks like, and I think I was even on the internet, and people were discussing what the letter was, and the letter is the letter that Sansa wrote back in season 1, when she was trying to plead with Robb Stark to bend the knee to Cersei to save their father, and that their father was a traitor, blah blah blah. And I think it's obvious what Littlefinger was intending to do with this letter. He's still trying to play this game, and he's still playing it incredibly hard, and he's trying to stay multiple steps ahead of everybody. And yeah, I think it's obvious that Littlefinger, he's trying to pit the sisters against each other, because yeah, there were those interesting looks that passed between Arya and Littlefinger last week, and yeah, Littlefinger, I think, coming to that realization, I can't control and manipulate Arya. I need to think differently when it comes to her. How can I manipulate and control her? And I think the best way for him is to use that letter to his advantage. And the question is, does Arya truly believe what that letter says? I mean, doesn't she realize that Cersei forced Sansa to write that letter? You know what I mean? Because even back in season 1, God, I can't remember who it was. Was it Maester Luwin? I think Maester Luwin was talking to Bran and saying, oh, this is in your sister's hand, but it's Cersei's words in this letter. So, I mean, that's the question, if Arya is going to realize that's not really Sansa in that letter. She was forced to write that letter. But yeah, you guys, oh my god. Arya leaves that bedroom having read the letter, and there's Littlefinger in the shadows, you guys. Oh my god. He was 10 steps ahead. You know, 10 steps ahead like he always is. I think what we're led to believe, he knew Arya was watching and following him, you know? He knew it the entire time, and he set things up in such a way, you know, he set things up in such a way that Arya would find that letter. And yet, this tension between the sisters now, you know, that's what he's hoping. I think he wants there to be this fallout. He wants to get Arya out of there. Because Littlefinger, I think he's starting to see now as well. I mean, even though he wasn't in that scene with the Northerners talking with Sansa, I don't think he was in that particular scene, but I think he's feeling that tension in the North, and that the North is kind of shifting away from Jon, and that they might shift their allegiances more towards Sansa. And yeah, if that happens, that works in Littlefinger's best interest and benefit, you know? So, oh my god, yeah, I'm so excited and terrified what's going to happen these final 2 episodes. I don't know if there's the possibility of Littlefinger dying next week, or if we're going to wait for the finale. I mean, either way, he's dying. I think he is dying. It doesn't matter, because I think the sisters, even though we're concerned about the sisters right now, I don't think we have too much cause to be concerned, because I think they will realize what's going on. You know, that bond will win out at the end of the day, and they will realize it's all Littlefinger's doing. Plus Bran, you guys, why hasn't Bran said anything about Littlefinger's actions? That's what's kind of making me frustrated as well. Why hasn't Bran said anything? But you know, Bran, I think Bran, he's just letting things play out naturally, you know, rather than forcing his way into a situation. Because yeah, last time he forced his way into a situation, that's when Hodor died, you know. And Bran might be a little worried about doing something that backfires on his sisters, and he doesn't want to cause an accidental death of his sisters, you know. So yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see. But yeah, you guys, I'm anticipating some really intense things between Sansa and Arya next week, and that, yeah, Littlefinger almost winning, but the two of them realizing what's going on, and then yeah, the finale, we get his death. Maybe. I don't know. Littlefinger's either dying next week or the finale, guys. There's only 2 episodes left, and I don't think he's making it to the final season. Okay, let's move back to King's Landing, where we have all sorts of amazing developments here in King's Landing, you guys. Let's see where to start. We see Bronn. He secretly takes Jaime down to the crypts with the dragon skulls, and we see Jaime and Tyrion reunite, you guys, and it was so beautiful. At first it was really intense, because obviously there's a lot of drama between these brothers. A lot has happened. Tyrion is on the side of Daenerys Targaryen. Plus, I mean, even though he didn't kill Joffrey, he still killed their father. So yeah, there's all of that tension between the brothers, and Tyrion, he just wants to put things aside quickly here, and he's telling Jaime, you know, the army of the dead is coming. You need to get Cersei to see what is going on. You need to get her to open her eyes. Daenerys is willing to halt hostilities temporarily right now while we deal with this problem in the north. So even though Jaime, he's angry and mad at his brother, I think he is seeing the wisdom there. He knows that his brother probably isn't lying about something like this. So before we do get to the very wild reveal with Jaime and Cersei, you guys, let's talk about Davos and the return of Gendry. Yes, it was amazing, about damn time. And I even love Davos, you know, Davos even saying to Gendry, I thought you might be out there rowing still. That was a nice little nod to us, the viewer, because in the fandom there is this kind of recurring joke that Gendry, we've not seen him for seasons now, and he's out there still on the rowboat rowing. So I like that little shout out there to us, the audience, about, I thought you might still be out there rowing. So yeah, Davos, while Tyrion is off dealing with Jaime, Davos, we see him go to Flea Bottom. He finds Gendry, who is working right under the nose of the Lannisters. He's still a blacksmith. He's making armor for the Lannisters, and yeah, Gendry, he's just kind of happy to get the hell out of there. He's been waiting for this. He's been waiting for something like this to happen. Yeah, not much hesitation there. He just kind of goes off with Davos. He gets his warhammer. This warhammer, you guys, we see this warhammer come into action in this episode, and I think we can definitely anticipate the warhammer continuing to come into action for these final 2 episodes. So while Davos and Gendry, they're trying to get back to the boats, they're waiting for Tyrion. Yeah, we got these 2 annoying guards who interrupt everything, and Davos is a smooth talker. Davos, he holds his ground, he gets through this, and the guards are about to go away. They were so close to keeping their lives, but here comes Tyrion. And we know that Cersei, back when Tyrion disappeared, we know Cersei put out that order, hey, I want you to find any dwarf with a scar down his face and bring me his head. So here's Tyrion, a dwarf with a scar on his face. The guards are immediately suspicious, wondering if this is Tyrion. And Gendry just takes action into his own hands. He takes out these 2 guards. Easy peasy, nothing to it. No hesitation. He just does it because this is what needs to be done. Okay, you guys, let's move on to the big, shocking reveal. Well, for starters, Cersei kind of makes it known that she's not stupid. She has her own little birds as well through Qyburn. She knows what's going on in King's Landing, even when she's not there. She knows that Bronn took Jaime down to the crypts to meet with Tyrion, even though Jaime thinks he is revealing this information fresh to her, but in reality he's not delivering it fresh to her. It seems like she already knows. And I was a little terrified for Bronn, you guys. It's like I was terrified for him last week, I was terrified for him this week, I might be terrified for Bronn next week too, because Cersei is saying, Bronn betrayed you. He didn't tell you our brother was down there. He took you down there unwillingly. So he betrayed you, and this and that. She's trying to turn Jaime and Bronn against each other, but I don't think it works. Hopefully nothing happens to Bronn, because I was a little worried she might have him executed. So hopefully nothing happens in these next couple episodes. And yeah, once again, Cersei, she's just not concerned. She's not concerned about Daenerys, and she's sitting there saying, Jaime, oh, whatever happens, we will defeat it. And the next shocking reveal we get, you guys, we find out that Cersei is pregnant. Oh my god. And the thing is, yeah, prior to Jaime even entering the bedroom, we do hear this little snippet of conversation between Cersei and Qyburn, and Qyburn is saying, oh, do you want me to get you something? And I think maybe he was going to get her something like if she wanted to abort the child. So it sounds like Cersei, she does not want to abort the child at all. So yeah, you guys, there's so many questions here about this possible Lannister child between Jaime and Cersei. And yeah, and the conversation ends between them. He's thrilled and excited, strangely. Now, I thought for sure he wouldn't be excited, but he is excited by this announcement. And yeah, the conversation ends with Cersei saying, don't ever betray me again. So I just have so many questions here and thoughts, because for one thing, is Cersei really pregnant? Is she really pregnant? I think she is, because her and Qyburn, that seemed like that was a hushed little conversation between them at the beginning, that Jaime wasn't really supposed to overhear that anyway. So I do think she is really pregnant. I don't think she's faking it. I think it definitely is Jaime's. It's definitely Jaime's. Definitely not Euron's. I don't think her and Euron have slept together at all. So it's definitely Jaime's, I think. And another big question here, because there's been the popular fan theory that Jaime will kill Cersei, that he will have to be the Queen Slayer. He's already the King Slayer, because I think Jaime, it's gonna reach a point that he realizes Cersei, she's horrible, she's no good, things are decaying rapidly between them. So there is a popular fan theory that he will kill her at some point. But now, if this baby does exist, if this baby does exist, will Jaime, if it comes down to it, if Jaime realizes he has to kill Cersei at some point, like next season, will he even be able to do it if that also means killing his unborn child? So yeah, I think this is definitely going to add a lot to Jaime, especially. You know, it's going to add a lot. I mean, like I said, there's the question too: could Cersei be lying about the child just as a means of controlling and manipulating Jaime to keep him on her side? You know, so there's that question. But like I said, I think there is a baby. I think there is a real baby there. But poor Jaime. You guys, I anticipate Jaime killing her and yeah, having to kill his unborn child in the process as well. Oh my goodness, it's gonna be dramatic. And yeah, that threat that Cersei says to him, never betray me again. I think that's just foreshadowing, you know? That is straight up foreshadowing that he will betray her. Okay, we're winding down to the end of this episode, yeah guys. So let's return back to Dragonstone really quickly. Yeah, Davos, Tyrion, and Gendry, they're back pretty quick from King's Landing. They're back in Dragonstone, and we get this great scene between Gendry and Jon, you guys. And the two of them, I think they instantly connect with one another because they're both bastards, and they have that common thread between them. You know, Jon's father was Ned, and Gendry's father was Robert Baratheon. So yeah, it's like here is Ned and Robert like reborn through both of these guys in a strange sort of way. So as we're leaving Dragonstone, everyone's departing. We got a huge group of characters leaving here. We got Jon leaving, Gendry, Davos, Jorah. We have several goodbyes here. We have Jon and Daenerys saying goodbye with one another. And I think this might be the last time we see Jon and Daenerys together until maybe next season, I'm thinking. And yeah, we get a goodbye between Jorah and Daenerys. It's like they just got reunited, only to be taken apart again. So we'll go back to those guys at the end of this review, but we do have one other thing to talk about, and that's at the Citadel with Sam and Gilly, you guys, and one hell of a massive reveal here if you were paying attention. Sam is just so frustrated, you know, he's at his wit's end, and you know, he's been disillusioned about the Maesters, I think, because Sam has always held this belief, you know, the Maesters are so wise and knowledgeable, but they disappoint him in the end. They don't believe him, they don't listen to him. So it's during this whole scene, Sam, he's just sitting there kind of pouting. Gilly is she's just reading off a list of facts. And I think it kind of reaches a point that she's irritating poor Sam, and Sam, he snaps at poor Gilly. You guys, it was so horrible. But Gilly doesn't take it personally. I'm kind of really glad what happened there, because at first I was worried that she might break out and cry, but she didn't cry at all. I think she understands where Sam's headspace is at. You know, she understands his frustrations. But yeah, the big reveal that we get here, you guys, before Sam has his outburst at her, Gilly does make mention really quickly about Rhaegar Targaryen, that he got an annulment from his wife and that he secretly got married to another woman. So I think this definitely confirms that Rhaegar plus Lyanna produced Jon Snow. Yeah, guys. It's like they're really driving those hints into us, the writers, you know, because we got that scene last season with Bran witnessing that vision with Lyanna. We got Drogon and Jon at the beginning of this episode. Then, yeah, Gilly just quickly bringing up that fact. And yeah, that's going to be pretty valuable, I think. That's going to be very, very valuable in the future, I hope. The thing is, Sam's not really listening. You know, he's not connecting those dots. We, the audience, are connecting those dots, but he has no reason to connect those dots. So what does this mean for Jon, you guys? If Rhaegar got an annulment from his wife, Elia Martell, correct? He got an annulment. He legally married Lyanna, it seems. So yeah, Rhaegar never kidnapped and raped Lyanna, it sounds like. And yeah, this makes Jon a Targaryen. He is a proper Targaryen. He is not a bastard. So what does this mean for Jon and Daenerys? Now, who was born first? You guys, who was born first? I feel like Daenerys had to have been born first, wouldn't she? Jon wouldn't have been born first, because depending on who was born first, I mean, that's really going to upset the balance of who the true rightful heir to to the Iron Throne is. Because if Jon was born first, then it's his. It's not Daenerys's. But I feel like Daenerys had to have been born first, at least by a couple months, you know what I mean? So yeah, there is that lingering question there. But yeah, you guys, how did you guys feel about Gilly just slipping out that bit of knowledge? Because it was done so casually. It was done so very casually in the episode, but so brilliant at the same time. Because yeah, if you're truly listening and paying attention, if you've caught all of the clues, yeah, you got it. You got it immediately. And yeah, what we see happen with Sam and Gilly, Sam's just, he's done. He's done with the Citadel, and it looks like he went and stole a bunch of books. It looks like he stole a bunch of books, and him and Gilly and little Sam, they get the hell out of there. Where is he going? I have no idea where Sam is going. Either way, he got all those books. There's got to be something valuable and important in those books. And yeah, the next question is, where is he going? Is he going back to his home? Is that how he's going to find out about his brother and father? Is he going to go back up north? Because does he really have a reason to stop at Dragonstone? I think he knows that Jorah is going to Dragonstone. So yeah, I don't know if Sam is going to possibly make a pit stop at Dragonstone, or if he might head straight up north, maybe go back up to the Wall. I don't know. But yeah, speaking of the Wall, let's end this episode, you guys, and let's go to Eastwatch, which is what this episode is called. So, we've typically been at Castle Black for all of the castles at the north, but yeah, we get to go to another castle, Eastwatch by the sea. And this is where we have a massive gathering of characters, yeah guys. I have never seen like this amount of characters. So we see that Jon and Davos and Gendry, they've arrived at Eastwatch. They're talking to Tormund. They're letting Tormund know what's going on. This is the plan. We're gonna go get a white. Tormund's like, oh Jesus Christ, why do you want to do this? Why? And I liked, he does ask about, hey, is the big lady here? Yeah, why didn't they bring Brienne? They should have brought Brienne, but Brienne needs to stay with Sansa. Brienne needs to protect Sansa right now. So the next scene that we get, we also find out that the Brotherhood and the Hound, they're currently at Eastwatch. When did that happen? I feel like I missed something. Because did Tormund mention how they got there? Because they're clearly imprisoned at the moment. Because I think they were trying to make their way beyond the Wall as well, but it didn't happen. So yeah, we see that Beric and Thoros, the Hound, and a couple other Brotherhood members, it looks like they're imprisoned currently. And yeah, here comes Jon, Gendry, Davos, Jorah, Tormund. They're all having this conversation, and there's a lot of heated argument and tension here between all these men. Because all these men, there's history there. We find out that there's history between Thoros and Jorah. Gendry obviously has his history with the Brotherhood, and yeah, there's the Hound, who a lot of people hate, and Jon instantly recognizes, hey, you're the Hound. And then Beric is like, he's the only person amused with this situation. Beric, he's like, oh hey, this is great, we're all here in the same place, we're all going in the same direction. And yeah, everything is just getting more and more intense. And then finally Jon is like, you know what guys, we need to put aside our differences, we need to stop arguing. And let me look at my notes here. He says, we're all on the same side because we're all breathing. So yeah, that's the commonality there, that these guys, they have to force themselves together, you know. They are breathing, they are living, they have to fight against their common enemy, which is the army of the dead. So it's time to go beyond the Wall, you guys. We see this group of men leaving Eastwatch, going beyond the Wall. They all look absolutely terrified. I would be terrified as well, because they might not make it out. They might not all make it out. So yeah, here's the list of characters, you guys. We got Jon, Jorah, Tormund, the Hound, Beric Dondarrion, Thoros of Myr, Gendry, and then we got a few stragglers. Who were the random guys? Were some of those random guys part of the Brotherhood, or were they other wildlings? I couldn't quite tell. But either way, we got 7 main characters here, you guys. 7 main characters, plus some other random people. And the promo for next week, you guys, it looks intense. It looks, I'm going to be on the edge of my seat. I might be screaming while I'm watching the episode. And is it safe to assume we're going to lose some people? I think we're going to lose quite a number of people. Because obviously, the random dudes, those random dudes are definitely going to die. The random dudes are going to die. And here's my predictions. Here's my predictions on who I think might possibly die. I think Thoros of Mir is definitely going to die. I think Barrick is going to die. And I think Tormund is going to die. So yeah, that's my three big ones. Tormund, Barrick, and Thoros. Now, there's also another popular fan theory floating around that Jon could die again. Jon could easily die again, but yeah, Thoros and Barrick are right there. They could resurrect, or Thoros rather, Thoros could resurrect Jon if something happens, which that could happen. You guys, there's a very high possibility that could happen. But yeah, it might require Thoros or Barrick dying in the process. Now, I don't think the Hound is going to die. I'm not really too worried about the Hound, because I'm still on board the hype train for Clegane Bowl. I still want to see the Mountain and the Hound fight each other. I think that's still a strong possibility. So I think the Hound is safe. I think Gendry is safe as well. I mean, why bring back Gendry for like 2 episodes only to kill him? You know, I feel like Gendry will make it. And then the same with Jorah. Why kill Jorah? You know, after he has just been cured from grayscale. So I definitely think the Hound, Gendry, and Jorah, I think they're safe. I don't think we have to worry, hopefully. And then, yeah, Jon's kind of 50-50. Like I said, I think Jon will make it, but he could also die and be resurrected again. And that's it for this review, you guys. Oh my god, I cannot wait for next week's episode. It's going to be a big one, I think. I think next week is going to be a huge game changer, leading us into what the finale is going to be like, and then, yeah, leading into what the final 6 episodes of the show will be. I can't believe there's only 2 more episodes left this season. Yeah, and then 6 episodes. We're quickly winding down here, and it's like, I can't even imagine how this show is going to end. There's so many characters and so many plot points that have to be wrapped up, and it seems impossible right now. But yeah, you guys, oh my god, an amazing episode. So much happened in this episode. So many exciting, thrilling, terrifying things. I have so many questions. So that's it for this review, you guys. In the comments below, please continue the conversation with me. I love to talk about Game of Thrones. So if you have questions, concerns, thoughts, theories, just let me know. I would love to read your opinions on this episode. This might be one of the best episodes of the season so far. Seriously, I mean, we had last week's episode, which was amazing, but this is definitely one of my favorite episodes for sure. So yeah, you guys, please continue the conversation with me. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week for another review of Game of Thrones.